David Malukas out 6 weeks. IndyCar no longer going to the Nashville street course to close out the season. And then we got all the info about the Daytona 500, the entry list, an interesting entry that has arrived over the last couple of days that we're going to talk about. A lot of it, cool stuff. All that and more next. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Racing Pulse. I'm your host, Tyler Isley, and we are back once again today with more motorsports news. Let's go ahead and get started today with one of the bigger stories of the day coming from IndyCar. They've announced that they are no longer running the Nashville Street Course this year to close out the season. Instead, this race is going to be ran at Nashville Super Speedway. So this will be the first time in a handful of years that they're closing out the season on an oval. But not only that, it's the first time they're going back to Nashville Super Speedway since the 2008 season. This is a big win, I think, on multiple regards. The Nashville Street Course has been entertaining, but it has not been really good racing. We've seen a lot of accidents, especially on the street courses in general over the last couple of years in IndyCar. More so than usual. I think there's a little less respect and give and take within the series over the last couple of years. I don't know why that is. I'm not trying to pinpoint that right now. But what I am trying to do is say that I do think that this is a win for IndyCar. I think that when you look at this and what they're going to do this year, it really feels like it's going to be a winning combination for the series. Now, this is, again, the first time they're going to be there since 2008. They ran in the past from 2001 to 2008 with the only guy who will be in the field going into this year who has raced and even won. Let me rephrase that. Who has won, let alone raced, at Nashville Super Speedway. It's Scott Dixon. He won 3 straight from 2006 to 2008 at the Nashville Super Speedway before they eventually stopped going after the 2008 season. This is going to be fun, I think, honestly. I've been kind of clamoring for another oval to be on the series schedule, and I think Nashville is the perfect track to do it. It's an interesting layout. It's an interesting surface, again, a concrete surface. It's just a fun racetrack, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what IndyCar does at this place. They've been kind of, like I said, lacking in the oval department, but they're looking to add, and this race alone shows that they're doing great things with the Iowa race later this year as well at Iowa Speedway, the doubleheader weekend that they have. Gateway has been ever improving. I just don't think Gateway is a track that gives you the kind of racing you want, the side-by-side racing that a lot of people are looking for. Indy is its own thing. We're not even going to try to throw that in the loop. But, since they got rid of tracks like Michigan, Auto Club, Pocono, and for rightful reason, might I add, but they got rid of those tracks and they never really refilled, retooled those, the missing ovals. I think Nashville Super Speedway is going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a absolute blast. To close out the season, I am thinking about making a trip over there at the end of the year to see what that's all about, because I really think it'll be a fun race. Moving forward in IndyCar news, David Malukas is expected to miss the start of the IndyCar season, and he's supposed to be out for what they say is 6 weeks. Now, not 6 race weeks, 6 weeks from the time that the stitches are removed after he has undergone a surgery to repair a dislocated wrist that he suffered in a mountain biking accident over the last weekend. I believe this was the weekend of the 10th, Super Bowl weekend. Now, no true expectations are being placed there, but it is, again, said he's going to be missing 6 weeks. He's supposed to have the stitches removed on February 22nd. So he's at least missing St. Petersburg. We don't know where or how much more than that he's going to miss. Arrow McLaren has said they're kind of weighing their options right now to figure out who's going to start the season in their number 6 Chevy. Team principal for Arrow McLaren, Gavin Ward, had this to say about the situation. He says, just heartbreaking for David, of course, and our entire team. We've seen how much work he and this entire group has put into preparing for his first season in Papaya. But it's often how we recover from setbacks and adversity that defines us and our character. We will do everything we can to support David in his recovery, and when he's back on the track, the success will be all the sweeter. Now, I love this quote. I love everything about this team right now. Arrow McLaren is definitely all for their drivers. They want them to go out and have fun. You don't see people, and I'm sure there are fans out there that are doing the same thing that people did when Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott got hurt in the NASCAR Cup Series last year on off-track incidents. Well, why are these guys going out and doing all these things? You know you got a race. You know you got a contract to fulfill. Things happen. These guys are still humans. They still need to go out and enjoy their lives. It can't be IndyCar 24/7. It can't be NASCAR 24/7. It can't even be Formula 1 24/7. You have to go out and live your life, experience things, so you don't get burnt out and want to retire at 25. David Malukas is 21 years old. This kid has a long, long future ahead of him, and I think he's got a winning and potentially a championship-capable career ahead of him. So what? This happened. You can't go back and change it. So what can you do? You look forward, you move forward, and I love the approach that the team is taking. Now, I hope that the public approach and the public comments don't become just comments. I hope they're fulfilled promises on the back end and private. I have every reason to believe they will be. McLaren as a whole, their entire team has been really good with their drivers, their relationships in the past. I don't foresee that going anywhere. Of course, this McLaren team has a lot of things they're looking forward to this year. Kyle Larson coming over and running the Indy 500 in May. It's going to be a really good year for McLaren. It's going to be a really good year for David Malukas. I think he's going to get a win this year. A little way too early on my spoiler alert, I guess, on my predictions that are going to be dropping later this month for the IndyCar season. As a whole, though, I think this is an okay situation. I think this could have been much worse. I'm glad it wasn't. I really like David Malukas. He's kind of become one of my favorites in the series over the last year or two. His time at not AJ Foyt, Dale Coyne Racing has been well documented, very, very solid, and just being able to improve the equipment and be in top tier equipment in the IndyCar series, I think is only going to make it better for him. Again, super, super excited to see what we get out of David Malukas going forward. We move now to talk about NY Racing. Yes, the 44 car that we saw back in 2022 for 5 races. Greg Biffle was the driver. Well, he's not going to be the driver anymore. And this all comes from a huge bit of controversy that started with a video of the NY Racing hauler getting ready to, I think they were already on their way to Daytona. They were at a gas station. It was just a video walking down the side of the hauler. People made assumptions based off of what they saw, which what they saw is the same thing I saw. Greg Biffle's name on the nameplate on the front of the car on the hauler. Well, that's not what the case is, as pointed out from Greg Biffle himself here over the last couple of days. He released a statement following this video, and I'm going to go ahead and read it to you as you see it on the screen. He says, "It's come to my attention that images of a hauler and a car with my name and signature on the side of it have been released. While I had hoped to be running the 2024 Daytona 500 this year, that will not be happening due to unfulfilled contract obligations from 2022 for myself and the team. I have made a hard decision to not participate in any races until the prior contract obligations have been fulfilled. I wish the team all the best, and hopefully I will have the opportunity to race again and win this coveted race." Never mind the 16 in his signature. I don't know if that's an old one or current. No idea. I just happened to catch that just a second ago. Greg Biffle is one of those guys who's definitely going to put his allow the morals to go first. I mean, that's kind of always been his thing, even though people didn't really like him during his full-time career in the Cup Series. He's always been a guy who's kind of put doing the right thing first in a lot of regards, especially off the track. And you can tell that he's clearly not doing this for a reason. I don't think he'd just sit out and not race the Daytona 500, even if it's for NY Racing, which I don't think has a great chance. But he did race them into the 500 in 2022. They didn't race. I didn't see them at all last year, to my knowledge. So what do they do here in 2024? It's hard to say. Well, we already know. We actually know who they're going to have drive this car. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But what are they going to do? How are they going to try to make this right? Is it going to become a settlement of sorts? I don't know. I don't know what this looks like. I do think it's frustrating though to see a new team kind of come in and do that. Now we do see that the way that some teams are managed is not always the best thing in the world and not always the greatest thing that we ever see or talk about. I think that it will be, I don't want to say crucial to their team, but I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this pushes Greg Biffle's career, where it goes from there. I hate to say that I don't think it's done, but I definitely don't think it's going to be continuing anytime soon. If I can just go ahead and leave it there for him. Now we do have a new driver for the 44 team. They announced it earlier today. It's going to be JJ Yaley taking over the 44 car. So they're not out of the, they're not completely out of the running. They will be there. They're going to run this race this weekend. And again, JJ Yaley is going to be the guy behind the wheel for them. So with all that said, let's go ahead and discuss the entry list if we can. I'm going to pull up this image first, and this is the entry list for both the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. Now, the Truck Series, of course, runs 36 cars, if I'm not mistaken, 36 trucks, while we see 44 entries for the Xfinity Series with 38 spots up for grabs, 6 cars going home this weekend. Now, I'm going to start in the Truck Series. I don't see anybody off the top of my head who really jumps off this page as an early favorite. Now, Corey LaJoie is kind of up there, but he's coming down from Spire, KBM equipment. I would expect them to have a really solid race. Raja Caruth was really good last year. Again, Spire, KBM equipment. Other than that, I'm not overly bought in on anybody right now. I think that looking at this list, I'm probably just going to take the best car or / truck that we've seen at this track over the last couple of years, which has been Thorsport. So I would say probably my pick's going to be Ty Majeski or Ben Rhodes. I'll go with Majeski just to not leave you hanging and pick 2. I'll pick 1. But it's going to be super exciting. I'm actually really excited because there's a lot of younger names in this series who are really trying to build something going forward. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great Truck Series season, honestly. It's, like I said, a lot of guys that can win. We'll see what that goes going forward. The Xfinity Series, the 44 cars going for 38 spots. The 97 driver is TBA. But it shouldn't be. That is going to be Shane Van Gisbergen this weekend in the 97 for Colleague Racing with some help from the Trackhouse team. Daniel Suarez, he's listed as the 114. He's going to be driving the 14 car for SS Greenlight Racing. It's going to be a car that's getting some help from the Trackhouse team as well, which is interesting. You'll see 2 SS Greenlight cars on this list. One of them's a Ford, one of them's a Chevy. It's just based off of who's helping out is really all that's there, because Patrick Emmerling's kind of footing the bill for his car. Daniel Suarez / Trackhouse is footing the bill for the other entry. If I'm going to make a pick for the Xfinity Series, I think I'm going to go ahead and take... I think I'm going to go Brandon Jones. I don't know why I'm getting that vibe, but I think there's going to be a resurgence this year. I think Brandon Jones comes back and does really well. So I'm going to take Brandon Jones and Ty Majeski for this weekend in the Xfinity and Truck Series. Super excited for those races, but then we also got the Cup Series entry list, which is up here right now on your screen, where we see 42 cars going for their 40 spots. We will see 2 cars going home. Those open cars are going to be BJ McLeod in the 78, Jimmy Johnson in the 84, Anthony Alfredo in the 62 for Beard Motorsports, David Reagan in the 60. We get JJ Yaley in the 44 for NY Racing, which we just talked about. And then Kaz Grala in the 36 for Front Row Motorsports. Out of these guys, I'm going to make picks for who I think gets in. And I'm going to go Jimmy Johnson, David Reagan on time. And I guess I'm going to go... No, I'm just going to go Jimmy Johnson, David Reagan. Those are going to be the 2 that get in. I don't know if they're doing the 2 on time or if they're doing the 2 based off of the dual races with, again, 40 spots open. I would assume they're just going to do based off of the dual races, or maybe one of them gets in on time and then the other one gets in off the dual races. I don't really know. I have no idea how that's going to work. But I am looking forward to seeing which 2 cars come away in the duels tomorrow night, Thursday. As for a pick for the Daytona 500, I guess I should give you guys my actual pick. David Reagan and Jimmy Johnson. Either way, they're the guys that I'm picking to make this show. I would not be surprised, though, if Anthony Alfredo is able to steal a spot. I don't expect the 44 or the 78 to get in. Now, as for winners, I think I'm actually going to go ahead and now I'm going to predict as if I'm looking for accuracy. Okay, so I'm going to pick guys twice, 3 times this year. But I'm going to pick Ryan Blaney to start the season with a win. I think that Blaney's had one of the best, most consistent last couple of years, really since his new car has shown up. He's always been good at plate tracks. That's where the majority of his wins have come. But he's good enough to get the job done. I'm super excited for Ryan Blaney this season. I think he might have the best chance out of anybody to repeat that we've seen. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to as a champion, but I think he's got the best chance. I think it's going to start early, getting locked in with a win in the Daytona 500. So I am going to mark all those down. I'm going to come back to those on Sunday evening. Well, you'll see the video on Monday, but I'm going to record Sunday after the Daytona 500. You'll see everything there. Super excited. Now, there will be a video out tomorrow. It's going to be talking about or recapping Daytona 500 qualifying. But we're also going to talk about some news from the iRacing world, as iRacing is adding a few new features and tracks and cars. A lot of new stuff to their platform, and I figured what better time than kind of a slower news day. I'm going to talk about Daytona 500 qualifying, whatever else pops up, but I'm also going to get you guys my season playoff predictions, and maybe a couple more bold predictions in there before the NASCAR season starts. But at least for the Cup Series, I'm going to get you guys my playoffs 1 to 16. Not in any order, but I'm going to give you guys my round of 16 all the way down to my round of 4. You guys already know my champion, but I'm just going to go a little more in depth with that as well. So stick around for that. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be tomorrow, Thursday, February 15th. And I'm really excited to get that out there for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy Daytona this weekend. It's going to be a great time. It always is, but it's There's nothing like it. Super excited for Daytona this weekend. Super excited for everything, all the festivities. It starts again tonight, Wednesday, February 14th. Daytona 500 qualifying. It will set the front row. It will set the lineup for the duels. And it will give us an idea of who's fast and who's not going into Thursday's duel races. Now, I will have a video Friday this week because I'm going to react to the duels. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on that. So that video is going to be on Friday. But with that said, the longest outro is over. I will see you guys in the next video.